Hey y'all, happy asynchronous learning day. In this video and in today's lesson, we're going to be looking at and finding x and y intercepts, as well as learning how to calculate slopes between those two intercept points. So in this first video, we're going to be looking at a graph. This is going to be very similar to what you're going to be asked to do in a few minutes, but I want to make sure that we know exactly what an x and y intercept is. Hopefully you have read and heard the definitions for both the x and y intercept. Right now I'm just going to go ahead and show you graphically what those look like. So I'm going to start off with my x-axis and my line. In this case my line is this orange one right here, and my x-axis is labeled. It's also a little bit bolder than all the other lines. It's going to be similar to what you're going to be seeing on your screens, but again, make sure that you first identify your x and y axes, because those are going to be really important when it comes to finding your x and y intercepts. So to cut to the chase, your x-intercept is going to take place on the x-axis, where this line crosses the x-axis at this point here. So at this point, we can count out how many spaces to the right. 1, 2, 3. So that tells me that my x-axis is at 3, 0. And again, your x-axis is always going to have a 0 for your y value. Again, it's always going to be 0 for the y because we do not go up or down at all. We merely stay on our x-axis and we only move in the x direction. In this case, that's to the right, so that's positive. 3 spaces, 3, and that's how we get that one. So now let's go ahead and look at the y-axis. Excuse me. So this is where things are going to be becoming a little bit more complex, and you want to make sure that you know what you are doing. So again, the reason why I counted from here is this is my origin point. Again, if you remember, my origin is at 0, 0. And since this is my origin point, that's also our starting point to count out in the x or y direction. So in my x-axis, to the right is positive, to the left on this side would be negative. On my y-axis, it's going to make a little bit more sense. If we go up, that's positive. If we go down, that's going to give us a negative answer. And so in this graph, we're going to start counting how many spaces down we go. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So I count 9 spaces down. So this point is at 0, because again, the inverse of my x-intercept is my y-intercept. So this time my x is 0. Got to remember to include my negative and my 9. So again, what we're doing today is counting the steps out from our origin point. So when you're doing problems, make sure that you, 1, identify your x and y axis, 2, identify where your origin is at, and 3, begin counting out to the point where your graphed line crosses the x-axis and the y-axis. So once you go ahead, on the next 2 screens, you're going to be asked to identify those 2 points. If you have any questions, remember to come back, rewatch the video. I'm going to post a couple more videos in the screencastify in case you have more questions. Otherwise, continue on. Y'all got this.